B in that old trophy case. Number 4 still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio B. The B stands for Beat the Blazers. And we are presented by MSU Denver Online. Make sure you check them out, msudenver.edu/online, where you can get in on all the action down there. They've got 750 total classes, 45 plus hybrid programs, and so much for you to get in on. And if you're working a full-time job and you really want to further that education, MSU Denver is the perfect place for you, because MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as any student attending any other Colorado institution. So check out msudenver.edu/online.
My boys, what's up? Like you said, Ryan, Nuggets coming off in one of the best games I've ever seen, at least in recent memory, last night. And what a win for the boys.
Yeah, it was insane. I only got a couple hours of sleep.
It's
pretty hard to sleep after this.
Oh, yeah. I was feeling like you last night. Like at the end of the game, I'm like, there's no way I'm hitting my bedtime tonight.
Nope. I also drank like a 5 o'clock coffee, which surely didn't help.
Yeah. So aren't you glad the game was on NBA TV as it turned out? Because even though, obviously there was the consternation over whether people could watch it, eventually they allowed the Denver market to watch it. And because it was on NBA TV, it started at 7.
Yes.
If it had been a TNT ESPN game, it's an 8:30 start time, and maybe you're not even on 2 hours of sleep right now. Maybe you are on no sleep.
It's very possible. It is very possible. Yeah, I don't really care about the where they show the game, other than just I want it for everyone else because I just watch all the games here. But you're right, getting at the 7 o'clock window is very nice. And then going to the Avs game tonight, and that's at 8 o'clock.
Holy cow! That one probably won't be an overtime game. I don't think.
You never know. I think I think people are underestimating the Knights a little bit just based on that game one.
I mean,
they are the second best team in the league based on record.
And you do have to be reminded that didn't they split the season series, or it was 4-3 or something? It was very, very close. Not like a 7-1 beatdown. But if the Avs have a beatdown tonight, it's over. And I know they still have to go back to Las Vegas to play 2 games. But if they beat them down, no, it's over.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And I feel like I have a really good record in playoff Avs games at Ball Arena, so
yeah. We're touching wood.
All right, well, as much as I could absolutely talk about that Nuggets Blazers game or the Avs game tonight, we got a little Broncos talk to get to here. And we talked about this yesterday. A lot of people yesterday saying, all right, June 1st, where's the trade? And we said, well, technically it's post June 1st.
So I think the window was 4 p.m. yesterday when it could have officially happened.
And obviously it did not. And to be fair, there's no buzz. There's nothing really right now. We haven't really heard much about Aaron Rodgers since I assume he left Hawaii, because we stopped seeing.
You think he left?
We stopped seeing Snapchats from Miles Teller's wife. So I assume they left.
Maybe those were going to stop just because of Miles Teller was himself getting into fights in the bathroom.
Is that a thing that happened?
Yeah, supposedly. Like apparently there was a wedding planner who claims that Miles Teller stiffed him for $60,000.
This happened this week, or this is old stuff?
It happened This was when they were all in Maui. This happened 10 days
Did Aaron
ago.
come to save the day?
Aaron Rodgers was not involved with it.
We've got Allie coming in with the tea.
The rumor was that it was a TMZ reporter because of money.
Oh.
But it wasn't.
Oh.
It was these are guys on the island who do this a good amount.
Oh, it was like a trap.
It was fake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So he got beat up, basically.
Damn.
Like black eye and everything.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Damn.
She posted it on her Instagram.
Of course.
That's how I heard. She posted it on her Instagram story because his wife posted it, explaining that it wasn't TMZ.
Well, that's not the Aaron Rodgers drama I was expecting to find out today.
No, certainly not. With the fact that the buzz has died down in just about everywhere but Denver, just kind of wanted to do a state of the situation type of thing, because I think that's the number one question, especially just the average person that you talk to around Denver is every single person I see, whether it's a Nuggets person at a watch party last night who knows on the Broncos guy, they're like, hey, what's going on? Is it going to happen? So, Zach, I'll start with you. Where do things stand in your mind?
Well, the most updated news, I guess, and it's not really news, came in from Tom Pelissero today after he reported that the that the Packers are making some moves to clear up cap space. He then said Green Bay has been tight up against the cap all offseason, but they wouldn't need these nickel and dime moves if they traded Aaron Rodgers, freeing up $16 million in cap space because we know now that would do it now that it's post June 1. Clearing up cap space is another indication they're planning on the NFL MVP to be on the team in 2021, and that's kind of where we're at. That's a good most recent summation of where we're at. Is the Green Bay Packers are digging their feet in, not just by not trading him, but also by making these moves. These are slight ways to tell Aaron Rodgers, hey buddy, you're not going anywhere.
It's all up to the Packers. I mean, that's the thing. It's not Aaron Rodgers, if he's here or not. It's not about whether the Broncos want him. Every indication is that if he's available, the Broncos would put in a generous offer. It's about the Packers clearly not at the point of acceptance. I mean, some of the moves that the Packers are making here, you could even say they're still kind of in denial. They think that, okay, we still feel like we can get something done. Maybe maybe they've gotten out. Maybe it's a bargaining, but bargaining means you're kind of on some level getting closer to acceptance. This isn't closer to acceptance for the Green Bay Packers. They still believe that somehow they can repair this relationship, even though every breadcrumb we get from Aaron Rodgers says he doesn't want to be there anymore.
That was going to be my next question is, do you think that this can be repaired? No.
I think they're going to try. I don't think it can be repaired. And part of it is just with Aaron Rodgers, you look at just kind of the other relationships in his life. When he moves on, he moves on. I mean, this is not someone who is wired the way a lot of other people are wired. This is somebody who literally hasn't talked to his parents in several years. Mm-hmm. So Rodgers is you, and we even see like in his like romantic relationships as well. When he moves on, it's like, I mean, that door just slams.
And wasn't the original tiff between him and his family, didn't it surround Danica Patrick?
It was actually his previous girlfriend was Olivia Munn.
Olivia Munn. Okay.
And
they didn't like her?
They didn't like
what started the chasm?
His family is deeply religious, like fundamentalist Christian. And he has kind of questioned that. So it's not just the relationship. There's also some significant religious perspective differences at play. And I think like you've had his parents like talk that when they've said something, they've talked about how, he kind of rejected what he was taught, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where Aaron Rodgers is kind of, clearly he's wired differently, but also I don't think that is one of those things where it's not just all on Aaron Rodgers. I think some of it is on his family too.
Here's
really hijacking.
But that was kind of an extension of he's not a happy-go-lucky, forgive and forget type of guy.
No, he certainly isn't. But the Packers have something to offer Aaron Rodgers that his family or ex-girlfriends, heck, maybe Shailene Woodley can right now, but his parents don't have. And that's $100 million guaranteed, $120 million guaranteed, $140 million contract, $160 million contract. His parents couldn't offer that to, mend a relationship. The Green Bay Packers can. And if anything is going to be solved between the two sides, it's going to be that. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers getting some seats at the table, some unwritten things, but then also a fat guaranteed check. And that's going to tell Aaron Rodgers, look, we messed up on Jordan Love. Even if they keep him on the team, we shouldn't have done that. Now you get a seat at the table. We're going to get you a wide receiver next year, and here's all the money to prove it because money talks. So that's why I think
it can be repaired.
I think it can be repaired because of that, and also because we just keep seeing reports coming out of Green Bay now over the last few weeks more so saying this can be repaired, and I think that's the way it is repaired is through money, if it is repaired.
To go to the personal side of it, what if Shailene Woodley says, I don't want to spend part of my year in Wisconsin?
I mean, she could be here.
And he's got to retire because if they're not going to trade him.
I mean, that's there. As this is just, I was told this is a Broncos story time with Mace, but back at the first year of free agency, the Broncos signed a guy named Rod Bernstein, who was from the Chargers, running back / tight end, and
Out of Texas A&M.
I believe so, yeah. So the negotiations kind of went back and forth, but sort of the deciding factor for Rod Bernstein was the fact that his then fiance was from Colorado. And as the story was told to me, the moral of the story is expletive always wins.
Fair enough.
And you can figure out what the expletive is.
So how much did he sign for?
$100 million, right? You said
Rod
$100
Bernstein
million.
did?
What? Oh no, Rod Bernstein. Oh no, but I think he signed for like $8 million, which back in those days was a big contract.
So there's a
the first
difference
year of
between
free
big
agency.
contracts and $100 million. Private jets.
So you-
now that
you
is
think
something.
this is money related?
What else? I think it's money, and he wants a seat at the table, and he wants the Packers to show that commitment to him, and that is shown through money. Yes.
I think he's over it. I think he's done. And I really don't think money is going to change his mind on this. I think that he, like we just talked about, is a bit vindictive in his ways. I think that he's also very egotistical. And I think that when he looks at his career and the lack of success that has, some podcast hosts bashing him left and right, he says, this isn't my fault. He watches Dame Lillard last night, and he says, that's me. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy who drops 55 points and my team loses. And
Don't pass it at the end of the game, then.
I know, right?
As he shouldn't have. Maybe he should have run, just
They
like
should have
Tom
gone
Brady
for
said.
it.
Going for fourth down.
And I think that's why he didn't go for it. Also, he thought I have another down, and then they were like, no, we're good. And that's why I think he says I got to get out of here. He doesn't think they're going to win there. He doesn't feel like they have done a good job in building around him. And I think legacy is important to him, which is why we're not going to get what you want, which is him coming out and saying, I'm never playing in Green Bay again, trade me or I retire publicly, because he cares a lot about his legacy. And I think he also says, if I want my legacy to be a proper one that I am deserving of, I need to go somewhere where I'm going to win a Super Bowl before I retire.
So what's going to change, though, if you don't think that Aaron Rodgers needs to come out and publicly say it or make it very, very clear? Why is Green Bay just going to say, you know what, we've dug our feet in, it's a little muddy, let's just take him out. Here you go, Aaron, here's anything you want. Why do you think they're just going to do that?
Time. Eventually, time will run out on them.
So the counterpoint to that is there was a lot more optimism that he would be traded 6 weeks ago, right when the draft, 5, 4, and then I would say that's really slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
And the more time that's gone on, it's actually done the opposite of what you're saying, and it's actually really cooled. We've seen the reports come out the past few weeks saying that Green Bay is not going to trade him, is digging in, is doing these things to make sure they keep him.
Yeah, I feel like there's no real pressure time-wise right now. Whereas training camp begins, your starting quarterback isn't there. A week into training camp, your starting quarterback still isn't there. 2 weeks into training camp, and so on and so forth. At a certain point, I mean, you have to, so the fines, he doesn't care about that. Like, at a certain point, you have to say, okay, he's not going to be our quarterback this year. So we can either have something for him or have nothing for him. And we can, play the big tough guys who say, like, you're not getting out of here that easily, and make him sit on on his couch at home and lose millions of dollars. Like, they can play that game. But if your question is what's going to change, to me, it's eventually they're going to have to make a decision. Do we want nothing or something?
Yeah, and you talk about egos with Aaron Rodgers, and for many reasons, it makes sense for Aaron Rodgers to dig in and not move. Well, the Packers also have egos, and it's very clear that their management has egos, especially their general manager. And if he is to trade Aaron Rodgers, and one of the things said yesterday by Mace was if they want to get a quarterback in there because they don't believe in Jordan Love, at least they don't believe in Jordan Love yet, they're going to want to do that sooner than later, maybe right around the time training camp starts. Then that's their general manager admitting not only did he ruin the Aaron Rodgers situation, but he messed up.
He screwed up
Jordan
everything.
Love. And that is the biggest L. I mean, that's pretty much saying, here, you can fire me whenever you want. I have failed miserably and ruined this franchise. That's a big ego thing right there. I mean, if he keeps Aaron Rodgers and he sits on the bench, he can at least say, this guy's a jerk. See, it's not me. I have him under contract. I got Aaron Rodgers under contract.
Where does the stubbornness of Brian Gutekunst have its limit? Because clearly there's a certain stubbornness in how the Packers have viewed this over the last few weeks, but does the stubbornness extend to sticking with Jordan Love and saying we're fine with Jordan Love for as long as possible, even if evidence determines that that's an unwise course of action for this year? And at what point does that stubbornness cost him his job? And which in of itself is interesting, because this guy, he's a Packer lifer. He's been there for 23 years. He literally goes back to when Mike Holmgren was coaching the team. I mean, to the salad young days of Brett Favre. I mean, this is a guy who's very dug into the Packer way of thinking. He's very dug. So, at what point does he take the L? That's the thing. The other thing is, what was that?
For anyone watching live, we've got a great picture up right now.
It's Mr. Orange.
Nice.
This happened to me when the one only time I produced.
Oh man, this is hilarious.
Well, you can take it off. I'll read it. There we go. He said Aaron not having his family support means that his woman is his foundation. It's easier on her to be on the West Coast too. On top of that, it's easier for Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But it's not up to him.
It's not up. That's the thing. If it were up to Aaron Rodgers, he would probably be a Denver Bronco right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's very clear he doesn't ideally want to be in Green Bay. It's the question comes down to, will $100 million guaranteed have him in Green Bay for the next 3 or 4 years and allow him to come back?
If you're the Packers, do you fine him? If he doesn't show up for minicamp, mandatory minicamp, that's I think kind of the next key.
You have to build a bridge at some point.
Exactly.
Right?
Now they can fine him $40,000 a day. The fines for holding out have gone up under the new CBA. So conceivably, they could fine him $120K for not being at minicamp. They could fine him literally $280,000 a week once they get into training camp.
Now, this wasn't a fine, but when OTA started and he didn't show up, he had a $500,000 workout bonus that he said, no, thank you.
Yeah,
if they want to build a bridge, they'll send that to him with a bow on it. Say, look, man, we know things are tough, but we're not going to punish you for it. We still love you and we want you to come back.
Go on another Hawaii trip.
Yeah, actually take this money, go to, Fiji.
You don't have to show up for the first week of training camp. Take this bonus instead.
Seriously. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to have a pissing match with Aaron Rodgers, you will lose. Like, if you're going to have a staring contest with Aaron Rodgers, you will lose.
You will lose, but the Packers are the ones wearing the shades, so you can't really tell if they're losing. No,
but you lose by not having Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
The only way that you win this is getting him to come back. Mm-hmm. And you might have to take a massive L, whether it is $120 million 4-year guaranteed contract or whatever it is. But that's the only way it looks like, the GM in office had any sort of win in this. And actually, with the way the NFL media works, they'll be able to spin it like this was an incredible job to build a bridge back for Aaron Rodgers and Brian Gutekunst and his team did anything and everything they could, and they really feel great about the relationship moving forward, and blah blah blah. BS.
Because the Packers are the cuddly little toy, right? They're community owned. They don't have a heartless corporate owner sitting at the top of their organization. They're owned by their fans, their shareholders. Yeah. They're in a small town. I mean, Green Bay is like they're almost everybody's favorite, everybody's second favorite team. Aside from Bears fans, who hates Green Bay aside from Bears fans?
I can't say in their colors, so
Probably Vikings fans.
Okay, Vikings fans. So aside from division rivals, who hates the Packers?
no one really hates the Packers. The problem is they've been good long enough to be not like lovable.
They're like the Wake Forest or Washington State of the NFL.
No, but they're good.
I actually think, I would think that they actually would be more likable if they struggled and didn't have a quarterback. I mean, people just, I think, are like a little fed up with them having a quarterback for the past 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's
but
what
you
I
don't
mean.
but you don't begrudge it to them. You kind of, if it happened in like Dallas, people would resent. I think people would resent Dallas,
more so,
more than they would resent Green Bay, because it's like this. You know, how is this small town team? How do they do it? How do they win when you go to every other sport, and if you're in a small market, you're pretty much SOL.
I resent the fact that anyone thinks the colors green and yellow should go together.
Why? What's wrong with that?
They just look
it's
terrible.
a great color
together.
Look at Fort Collins, and that's why Ryan.
At
says
least they
that.
use gold. I'll give them credit on this. Green and gold is actually a hell of a lot better than green and yellow.
Yellow jumps out. Didn't CSU used to wear yellow at one point too, way back?
I'm sure
They had orange.
they did wear it.
Way
orange.
even before, like. But I think like in the 80s, I think they had yellow ram horns on the helmet, on the green helmet back in the
Like
day.
the Rams.
I can see that.
Yeah, they had yellow ram horns, green helmet, white face mask.
Wow.
I don't like the white face mask though.
Yeah, I just green and yellow. Just don't do that.
Green and yellow, green and
So
yellow.
that shows
green
you're
and
afraid
yellow.
of CSU on some level, because there's some resentment there. I thought CU didn't have contempt for CSU, that they kind of looked down their they kind of looked down their noses at CSU.
I have never pretended that. I actually hate when CU fans do that. I'm like, no, I openly have a lot of contempt for CSU. Of course, it's all love for our Fort Collins listeners. Real quick, a comment a little bit higher up from Devin here. Why'd I turn this on and immediately make a PB&J?
It's a natural reaction that
It's like a Pavlov's dog type of thing.
Exactly. Since it's the morning, it's probably a little more PB or J than PB, right?
Yeah, you know, a little more fruit in the morning. Goes
and
well
then
together.
lunch we're about even, and then dinner you transition to the J.
Heavy
PB.
PB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come that's not on the DNVR bar menu?
Dude,
Oh, man.
good idea.
If we could figure out a way to do like a gourmet peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like something that was off the chain that you couldn't do at home.
How do you do it gourmet, though? I mean, I know
So-
some people do it on burgers.
I went to this place. I'm feeling generous today since the Nuggets won last night. We'll get free advertisement. I went to this place called Schoolhouse Kitchen in, I don't know, Arvada. There
It
we
does
go.
sound like a place you
Way
find
too many
something like this.
A
There
cities.
are.
Yeah, Old Town Arvada. It's called Schoolhouse Kitchen. It's really cool. It's all in the theme of a school. So even like the booths are like bus chairs.
Okay.
It's cool. It's cool.
Gives you flashbacks.
And then even the menu like has some like classic like sloppy joes and stuff
Yeah.
you would get. And they had a homemade PB&J on their own homemade sourdough with their own homemade PB and their own homemade J. And it was easily the best I've ever had.
Wow.
Did they butter the bread? Was it grilled or was it?
No, it was
Okay.
standard.
Because I've heard of it being like grilled, and you put butter on one side on one side of each slice of bread, and so then you kind of cook it that way, and that can be pretty amazing.
And then they even had like, so they like took the crusts off,
Yeah.
then used the crust as like a vessel to put more jam in there because the jam was so good. So then you can like rip little pieces of the crust off.
At first, I thought
Highly
you were going to
recommend.
say, like, then it turned out to be an Uncrustable.
No, but even those are elite.
Yeah, those are good.
You guys ever hear of the Fool's Gold loaf?
No.
That was supposedly like maybe Elvis Presley's favorite sandwich, and it was made out here in Denver
Oh,
at the Colorado Mine Company, and
that still exists?
I'd have to look it up. Anyway, Elvis and his friends flew a jet from Memphis, from Graceland, out here to Denver, bought 30 of the sandwiches and took and then had champagne, the fool's gold loaves, and then flew back to Memphis.
These are the types of things
that?
Aaron Rodgers can do if he gets $120 million guaranteed from the Packers.
Yeah, maybe he does live here and just transports himself back to Green Bay every day.
He can pull off the Phillip Rivers
Yeah.
technique.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, look, what do you think the flights from here to Green Bay, Mace?
Direct. That's about 2 hours.
Okay, exactly. That's basically what Phillip Rivers was driving every day, right? From San Diego to LA.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, it's no longer the Colorado Mine Company doesn't exist, but Nick's Cafe in Golden does serve the Fool's Gold loaf.
Did we ever find out what's in that?
It is peanut butter and jelly.
That's
That's
it.
Nothing special about it.
So
Here-
it's the
okay,
type
here
of
it is.
bread? Is that
Okay.
what's different?
The Fool's Gold loaf, and we're reading this off Wikipedia, starts with a load of French white bread covered in 2 tablespoons of margarine, baked in the oven at 350 degrees until brown. Then they add bacon. So 1 pound of sliced bacon is fried in oil until crispy and drained. The loaf is sliced lengthwise, hollowed out, and filled with peanut butter, grape jelly, and bacon.
Wow.
Elvis preferred it with blueberry preserves.
That's where he lost me.
What?
Wow.
Strawberry preserves.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably go strawberry.
So yeah, bacon on a PB&J on French bread.
I mean,
mean,
you put bacon on anything, it
We
kind
might
of
have
ups
to make
it.
a
So.
DNVR Broncos pilgrimage to Golden to try this out.
Now I have to look up if Nick's Cafe.
Did Nick's Cafe survive? Come on, here we go.
Well, if it didn't, then we need to appropriate.
Home
this.
make it.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's still there. It's still there.
Golden, low key.
4.7
Great food
stars
scene.
on
yep.
Google.
Wow,
Yeah, there you go.
there's a lot of good food.
We're giving a lot of free advertising. Today,
It's
by the
okay.
way.
It's fine. The Nuggets, it's fine. All right. What? Yeah, exactly.
Good point,
Restaurants
Alex. Very
need
good
it.
point.
Yep.
We love our fellow restaurant people. Okay. Back to Aaron Rodgers. Do you expect any sort of news anytime soon? That's the number one surprise to me, is that I thought as we got closer to June 1st, little reports would start popping up. Little Aaron Rodgers is still disgruntled. He has no plans on returning. Like, I don't care if he comes out and says it, but I definitely thought the reports would start to heat up. The fact that it's all quiet on the Western Front is definitely bad from a Broncos perspective for me. So do either of you guys think there could be something coming out soon?
I doubt it. I think the magic time is going to be training camp. That's when the pressure is going to ramp up on the Packers. At that point, it'll even ramp up on Aaron Rodgers, unless he's not bothered by being fined. And based on the fact that he was not bothered by losing $500,000 of workout bonus, I think, and also the guy has made $234 million in his career.
Yep.
And that's just from football. Beyond that, what he makes, the millions he makes from State Farm and from other companies he works with, he's not. I don't think he's going to look at a $40,000 a day fine if the Packers issue that to him and flinch. So I think it's actually the pressure may be more on the Packers depending on how their quarterbacks look as they get into the summer.
No pressure. No pressure on anyone right now. I don't expect anything. In fact, we saw the national tweets last week about how Aaron Rodgers didn't show up for OTAs, and that made sense because it was the first week of OTAs. We didn't even see those tweets this week. It's that much of like a known that he's just not going to be there. So I fully expect him to miss mandatory minicamp and miss out on $160,000 or $120,000 if they do end up finding him. But yeah, this thing isn't going to heat up until maybe the beginning of training camp, if not bleeding into training camp, which is crazy for a starting quarterback. I mean, when was the last time we saw something like this? This is not something you see that often at all. But I don't think either side has much motivation to move anytime soon.
Believe it or not, the closest thing, even though it wasn't a trade, but just a guy who was kind of taking his time and deciding in August, the closest thing was Brett Favre, Rodgers' predecessor.
Right.
And he did not sign with the Vikings in 2009 until I believe like August 9th or 10th. And he finally said fine. And the Vikings were muddling along. They had Sage Rosenfeld set to be their starting quarterback. And that kind of leads me to a question I want to ask both of you, especially you, Zach, because you've been out there at the OTAs as well. Do you feel any better about the Broncos quarterback situation if they don't get Rodgers based on what you've seen at the last 2 OTAs?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, I think so.
Let's talk about that on the other side
yeah.
of a quick break here, because I actually did want to circle back to Teddy and Drew, because I saw some interesting stuff from some other friends of ours in the media that I want to run by you guys. So quickly, let's get to our DraftKings pick of the week. I will lead us off here, and I'm keeping it simple tonight. Well, almost keeping it very simple. Just one extra little step. I'm taking Avs 60-minute line, sitting at minus 121. As Andre and I were previewing, the Wild and Knights in Game 7, we were saying, well, if you're hoping to get good value on the Avs betting on them next series, then you want the Knights to win. And that's kind of what's happening here.
Right.
Minus 121 on the 60-minute line, which is just one step above the money line, meaning you got to win in regulation, is actually really good value from what we saw against the Blues. You couldn't get any value on the Avs to win games against the Blues. So the fact that you can get it at minus 121, I like.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just going to go a step further. Avs won by not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. They won by 6 goals last time. And so you're telling me if they win by 2 or more, I get them at plus 130. Give that to me tonight on home ice. You'll be there cheering them on. So give me the Avs minus 1.5 at plus 130. Allie's on it with me too. Love it.
Mine's going to take a little more time to bear itself out because I'm doing a futures bet on the NFL, and it goes into what we're talking about today. The NFC North right now, the Packers are still minus 143 to win the NFC North. The Vikings are plus 260. So that would be 13-5 odds. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Packers again. The Vikings, even with that shaky defense, they look like easily the best bet of the other three in the NFC North. The Bears plus 400, the Lions plus 2,000. I guess if you just want to have a little fun, just put $5 on the Lions. But I'm going with the Vikings at 13-5 odds.
So 13-5. What is that?
Plus 260.
Plus 260. I think they were plus 300 a couple of weeks ago, and that's what I went with. So I love that, Mace.
Yeah, that's just one that I think makes a lot of sense at this point. If you don't believe Aaron Rodgers is coming back to Green Bay, I'd say put something on the Vikings, and then just put a small bet on the Lions because Jared Goff with a GM that believes in him and Brad Holmes, who knows, even though
I know.
You know not to do it. One thing we all know is you got to get these bets on DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. And guys, they're putting you courtside for these playoffs. They're giving you a chance to turn $1 into $100. All you have to do is pick any basketball team that is still in contention, bet $1, and if that team wins, you'll win $100 in site credits over with our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. And I love DraftKings Sportsbook because they keep every single night interesting. Not only do they have hundreds of bets every single night, but they have odds boosts that you can do daily, and it makes it so much fun. So head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use the promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free bets. Bet on any basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free bets. That's promo code DNVR for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Wagers paid out in site credit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
We've also got to give a shout out to our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. I'm going to the Avs game tonight, so I'm going to be indulging in a couple Breck brews. I'll probably go the Celtics because I am still rocking the keto grind, although I am going to a bachelor party this weekend where I feel like that will come to a screeching halt. But, I'm going to keep the facade up at least until Thursday night when that begins. So make sure that you hit up our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery, because not only now do they have the regular Good Company seltzers, but they have the lemonade seltzers, which are fantastic. Yeah. And as I've revealed on here, the secret is to put them over ice. No one's thinking like this except me, and now you.
Look at you.
Because it just I don't know what it is. It takes them to another level. I'm big on drinks at the proper temperature, and seltzers, you just have to get them really, really cold to get them to their most enjoyable temperature. So throw them over ice or get the good companies and throw those over ice. But no matter what your drink of choice is, if it's carbonated, I'm sure Breckenridge Brewery has something for you.
And if you want to get some Breck brews down here at the DNVR bar, of course you can do that. But if you're a DNVR member, you get a little something extra because you get a big beer for the price of a small beer. That's just one of many benefits of becoming a member of DNVR. Beyond, of course, being able to comment on our podcast, beyond being able to read all of our content. You can read Zach writing about the Alabama guys that he loves. You can read me breaking down everything that happened yesterday at the OTA. You can get those big beers for the price of small beers. You also get a free T-shirt from the DNVR Locker. You get discounts at the DNVR Locker year-round. You come on down DNVR bar, you get extra raffle tickets every time they have one during a game. You even get to take part in the DNVR Golf League. You can sign up for that. You can join our members-only Discord and talk sports without all the crap that you deal with on social media. So many reasons to become a DNVR member today. So if you're out there watching, we appreciate you, but why don't you join our family at some point? Guess what? The price of membership, you're basically going to get so much for your dollar. Think about it this way. You get that free T-shirt. You come on down to the DNVR bar. You have a couple of member beers, so big for the price of small. And you get discounts at the DNVR Locker if you buy more T-shirts. And all of a sudden, that's paid for itself without even talking about the value you get from reading our content at thednvr.com. So sign up and become a member today.
You're losing money by not being a DNVR member is basically what Mace is saying. Okay, guys. So, saw a little tweet exchange on the timeline here. And I'm the only one who's in the dark here because I haven't seen a practice yet. So I'm starting to think maybe I need to go break this tie here because, as you know, we're friends with our guys over on Broncos Country tonight, Benjamin Albright, Ryan Edwards. And according to a listener of both shows, you guys have the opposite impression of the way the first two OTAs have gone for the quarterbacks as those two. And my mind is blown because, I mean, I obviously trust you guys, but those guys, are trustworthy guys too. And so this is, I'll just read a couple of because it started by someone saying, man, those two review is a 180-degree turn from yours review. And then someone said, you two were saying Teddy looked precise last week. They were saying he looked like he was off. And then you guys said yesterday the timing was great. They said Teddy looked like he was lacking chemistry with his receivers. My head is spinning. I don't know what's going on here.
That shocks me. Ryan, what I will say is you watched a little video clip from another reporter that was there yesterday right before we started the pod, and I think that aligned very much more with what we were saying. So to have just a neutral person break the tie right there.
I'll be honest, I didn't see any Drew Lock highlights come from the practice yesterday.
Well, and that's also something else. If you look at just what the Broncos put out, because we're not allowed to take videos of when they're actually doing 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, even though they didn't do 11-on-11s yesterday. Right, about another video. And, I think we saw maybe 2 highlight clips of throws where you got to see what quarterback and what receivers. Pretty good chemistry between Drew and Teddy on, or between Teddy and Jerry on those right there. And it's not, I haven't been trying to bash Drew Lock.
No,
Drew Lock hasn't been bad. But one of the observations that I've had from last week and this week, like we've talked about, is he has not thrown the ball far at all. And in fact, yesterday, I even asked Mace, in my notes, I don't have Drew throwing the ball more than 10 yards downfield once. And Mace said he had it once, and it was at the very end of practice when media was already getting ready to do the Zooms. But one time he did. So that's not necessarily a critique of Drew. That's just an observation while Teddy has been going downfield. So I'm not sure how it could have been, but especially yesterday, been noticed differently.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of draw whatever you want to you want to take from that, I suppose. But with both of these quarterbacks, I feel like they're working on things that we're missing. With Drew, it's kind of taking what's there. It's kind of taking what's there, being patient, and dumping it off. And I'd say probably dumping it off maybe too frequently, but that being said, coverage was excellent yesterday. The other thing is when you have good coverage, one thing that we have seen from Bridgewater is that he has a greater ability to drop it into tight windows. And that's what jumped out to me. He did miss some throws. Like I know Ryan Edwards responded to one of the tweet that you referenced and talked about how, Teddy he missed one to Tim Patrick. He missed one Tim Patrick. He had a near interception. But
we talked about that too.
Yeah,
He
had two near interceptions because there's one that Surtain got his hands on. There was one that Bryce Callen came out of nowhere to break up.
I personally didn't think that was I didn't think that was a near interception. I mean, he got one hand in front of I don't think there was any chance of a one-handed interception.
I will say this. I thought the passes that were considered that the defense got their hands on, because basically each quarterback had the D get their hands on two passes. Drew's were closer to being intercepted than Teddy's were.
I mean, yeah. I'm very interested in this, and maybe we can have those guys on one of these days, maybe after the next one, just to see where they think things stand. I got to get out there and get my eyes on these guys too, because I think in the end, there's no scoreboard. It's not like you can say, well, one guy won, one guy didn't, other than just your own opinions. So I found it to be interesting. Would you guys describe Drew Lock as sharp over these first two practices? Because that's, according to the tweeter who brought this up, said that's what Ben and Ryan, their assessment was.
To be fair, no, I wouldn't, and I'd be lying if I changed that.
Yeah, I don't think he's being sharp. I think he's made sensible decisions. Mm-hmm. But like yesterday, for example, when he did try to go downfield, he was off more often than not. Now he had that nice pass to Trandy Benson near the sideline a lot. And the thing is, you can see that Drew, he throws with a lot of zip.
Yeah.
But at this point, Teddy is dropping it into some windows that Drew isn't. The other thing that is going on is, I feel like even though he's only been there a week, I'm impressed with how Bridgewater is kind of meshing with his teammates and how he's kind of coaching guys up. And like you'll see, like Austin Fort at one point kind of looked like he had like the wrong cut, and Teddy's kind of working with him to say, hey, we can do this here. The other thing you saw from Bridgewater at least once yesterday is he was directing traffic as he was dropping back, and you can see him kind of waving his arm like, okay, get in position. Teddy looks to be in pretty firm command of things in a way that, frankly, I didn't expect just coming in here. I know he's been in this offense before. I know he's worked under Pat Shurmur before, but still, you're talking about 4 practices with guys, and Drew's had a whole season plus. Teddy does not look like a guy just kind of trying to figure things out and figure out chemistry. And that's another thing. 4 practices in, I think he's got great chemistry with Julio Jones, for example. Or not Julio Jones.
No.
Jerry
Jeudy. Sorry, Freudian slip.
Maybe he will be Julio one day.
Nope.
He looks like he's already on the same page with Jeudy, and he's 4 practices in.
Yeah.
And that says a lot to me about just how far he's come very quickly, and I think that's to Teddy's advantage.
Teddy to Jerry sounds like it belongs in like 1940s football.
Yeah, or like a kid's book.
That could be it too.
The Adventures of Teddy and Jerry.
And here's one reason why we've been talking, at least I've been talking more about Teddy, is because how much is there to say about Drew when it's check down. It's not necessarily that it's the wrong play. It's safe, but literally
hard to evaluate.
When I write check down here, it's behind the line of scrimmage or within 5 yards. Now, that is good. It could mean he's progressing through his reads. Now, it's a little tough to know that to both Teddy and Drew, with no pass rush, with no offense, or with no lineman there. But I mean, like I said in my notes, he threw deep past 10 yards once.
Yeah, and again, it really is important to note that it's only been 7-on-7 so far. But what's interesting about that is the point of 7-on-7, especially from a quarterback's perspective, is to know the coverage and know where the openings are in whether, whatever they're running. And that should make it easier for you to push the ball down the field because you're not worried about a pass rush. But again, we don't this is the number one toughest thing from our position. They don't hand us a practice script. They don't tell it. We have no idea what they told Drew before the practice, which could be, hey, man, we want to see you go 1, 2, 3, check down. 1, 2, 3, check down. That's the way we want to see you, operate in these 7-on-7s. We have no idea. That's the hardest thing for us, and they never have and they never will tell us, what the goal of the practice is or what they told the guys before it. So we're, at the peril of our own observations.
Do you put any stock into what the Broncos VP of all things communications, Patrick Smythe, what he retweets? Do you put any stock into that?
Patrick Smythe makes no accidents.
How can you not?
Okay. Because I had a tweet about how Jerry Jeudy did yesterday, crisp routes, generating separation, and I closed the tweet by saying 2 deep receptions with perfectly placed / time passes from Bridgewater, showing emerging chemistry there, and Patrick retweeted that.
Did you check if he retweeted anything else?
That's all he retrieved from me yesterday.
That's interesting.
From me. Now let's. I should see.
I'm going through right now, and I don't see any other endorsements for either quarterback.
I wonder if Patrick knows how much we read into that. That's hilarious.
Again, we're looking for breadcrumbs. Like his retweets after practice. One was from me, and one was from George Story of the Gazette, with Bryce Callahan talking about expectations being very high. So.
Yep.
There we go.
Anyway.
Always interesting. Okay. Anything else from yesterday that maybe we didn't get to from the pressers or anything like that we needed to touch on?
Just the expectations for this secondary, guys. Sky high. Bryce Callahan said what we've all been saying, that the pieces are there for them to be the best secondary in the league, and you can't argue against it. I mean, the money shows it. The draft picks show it. Everyone that they have, guys, shows that they should be. Now, will they be? And Bryce Callahan said, that's on us. Let's see if we can do it. So I like that they know that they should be there. Now, are they going to live up to it?
Again, they should. Mm-hmm. And health is everything. Touch wood.
Yep.
On paper, I mean, it looks like a dominant secondary.
It's just unfortunate because, as Michael Spencer, pointed out when he was on 3 Ring this week, like that's what we say every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every year. And again, last year is the ultimate pass. I feel like the further you get away from the situation, the more people forget the actual situation. I mean, they brought in Jarrell Casey. We never really saw him. They brought in and Von Miller was about to have everyone thought he was about to have a breakout. Breakout isn't really the right word. A huge bounce back year. Mm-hmm. We never got to see it. AJ Boye gets knocked out for several games. We never got to see anything that they really had in their plans last year, and we know that they weren't planning on playing Isang Bassi heavy into the rotation in week 1, and that's the way it was. So we didn't get to see it, but it does feel like every year we're saying it should be one of the best defenses in the league, and especially under Vic Fangio. This year, health willing, really has to be a big year for him in the defense.
Well, by the end of the season, Michael Ojemudia was your CB1, and right now he's your CB5.
About that.
Now he's 4 because Kyle Fuller isn't there, but
I forgot Oj was like going up against Julio.
Yeah. But and the thing is, there's no room for him to move up.
Yeah,
there's no room. Once
not
Kyle
this
Fuller's
year.
Back.
Now you have Ronald Darby, who didn't make it through a full season until last year. You have Bryce Callahan, who has never played a full 16-game schedule. So the odds are pretty good, especially if the Broncos play more dime packages, as we expect them to do, that Ojemudia is going to get plenty of run at some point. And you can kind of look on the horizon, see the expiring contracts for Callahan and Fuller, and there's still a path for Michael Ojemudia to be very relevant for this team at times this year and especially next year. And certainly, listening to Vic Fangio when I asked him about Ojemudia yesterday, he's still high on him. He still believes in the kid.
Yeah, I mean,
but they just didn't want to get caught short last year. Like, you kind of react to trauma, and maybe you kind of overcorrect. The last year, you deal with Boye being out, Callahan being out, saying Bassi tears his ACL, Duke Dawson tears his ACL. You have this waterfall of injuries at the position that nobody can plan for. Mm-mm. And now you've overcorrected a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have two of those guys that are in contract years. It kind of makes it, you can rationalize it long term, and especially you can rationalize it short term just because of the injury trends of two of your top guys.
Yeah, I think what all these moves have shown is maybe they're not totally done with Ojemudia, but they think he needs another year because you don't go out and sign two guys for $10 million if you want a guy
You're
to see
super
the
confident,
field.
Well, yeah.
Right.
The other thing is they signed Darby first, of course, and then Fuller. They weren't planning on Fuller being
Fuller
available.
kinda fell
It
into
was
that
almost
lap.
like Fuller. It was like this the manna from heaven that you weren't expecting. And you say, okay, fine, let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and get him. And
But then
we'll find a way to make it work.
Pick.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like Fuller was the last thing to fall into place. Then they went out and used their biggest investment this offseason on a cornerback.
Well, that I think is also about just. I think that in their mind was BPA.
Yeah,
Yes,
I do think-
they don't do
regardless
that
of
though if they love Ojemudia for this year. Is what I'm saying.
I think
there's no way.
You can be fine. You can like a guy and be fine with him, but still say, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this guy. We love this guy. He's available. Let's take him and let's figure it out." I mean, imagine if in 1984 the Portland Trailblazers, who already had Clyde Drexler, if they said, "Oh, you know what? It doesn't matter that Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler are very similar. Let's just get the best guys in and we'll figure it out."
Yeah.
If they had done that, history would have changed forever. Portland would have more than the one championship they won in 1977. But instead, they're like, "No, we need a big man. Let's pick Sam Bowie, even though the dude can't stay healthy."
To be fair, Mace, we're talking about OJ, not MJ here.
I know,
And-
but the
and
point
one
of it
the-
is, just because you have a guy
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
mean that if there's a player that you absolutely love at a position where you're already stacked, you don't go ahead and say, "Let's go take him."
But Oj definitely isn't Clyde Drexler, and I think that's the main point here. Is that
But Kyle Fuller might be Clyde Drexler.
still no? But the point here is it's the same thing we were saying about Kyle Pitts with the Albert Okwuegbunam situation. We were saying, look, you love Albert O. He's awesome. He's exciting. But he's not a reason to not take Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
And that's, you might not even love Oj as much as you love Albert O. But you're saying, look, he had some moments. He had some bad moments. He's certainly not enough to he hasn't earned enough to preclude us from going after Fuller, going after Darby, going after Surtain.
Yep.
It's the same thing with Drew Lock, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't done enough to preclude you from going after Matt Stafford, going after Aaron Rodgers, going after Deshaun Watson. He's a piece, certainly one that they're not saying
They're not sold on.
no, they're not sold on, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah. And they shouldn't be sold on Oj either.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. All right, I think that wraps it up on the live side
love
of things. Great conversations. We are going to head over to the podcast side of things for the questions and the comments from our listeners. So make sure you find us anywhere you listen to podcasts to hear the last segment of the show. But for now, that wraps it up for us here. We will talk to you guys later.